Driving test of the year, starting with a 160-mile-an-hour dash to the first corner. Let's join Martin Brundle and say a very good afternoon to Murray Walker.
This is a track where you can overtake Murray if you've got some speed through Eau Rouge and get in the slipstream on the long climb up to the Le Coumbe chicane. You can pass cars here, and also if you're brave into the bus stop, there's a few tears shed there usually at some point through the Grand Prix here. What they have to be careful of is that first corner. Everybody concertinas up the inside. You can go down the outside. Occasionally then you get caught up in the incident, and often we have a spinner on the exit as they're over anxious to get on the power to get down to Eau Rouge for the first time. I'm assuming with traction control we're likely to see less of that.
And you can hear the engine revs rising. They rev massively high these days, and away they go for the installation lap.
Once again, the BMW Williams team sitting out most of the warm-up, saving their engines. They clearly rev them a lot less in the race than they do in qualifying, so they have less power, and that's why I think they'll not romp away from Michael Schumacher and the others this afternoon.
We ride with Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Prost, and I remind you that he is in fourth position on the grid. That's Michael Schumacher ahead of him, led by the two Williams BMWs as they come into the bus stop. And that is a left, right, left. Very, very slow indeed. Not as slow as the last source hairpin, the first corner on the circuit. And this is where Montoya will, I'm sure, start to slow down and let the rest of the grid assemble behind him so that he spends the minimum time possible on the line and thereby risk burning out his clutch. So that's Pedro de la Rosa, Olivier Panis, Kimi Raikkonen, the rest of them pouring through. Jenson Button in the Benetton. Cross your fingers and join with me. Let's hope that there's not a pile-up after turn one.
Car stalled, it's Frentzen.
Frentzen stalled his engine, and he's got to let them... Are they going to abort the start? Yes, they've aborted the start. Charlie Whiting, the race starter, has aborted the start. Well, that's a good thing in many ways, a bad thing in others. It's a very good thing because there's always a danger if you're at the front of the grid that someone behind will arrive doing 100 miles an hour from the back of the grid to the front. And there is Montoya waving his hand as they take the tyre warmers away. Now there are 25 seconds to go officially to the attempt to get this race going.
Montoya getting a bit agitated there. I think he felt that they weren't clearing his car, and the yellow flags are waving because we think Montoya has stalled the engine.
No.
So Montoya then, now we know why he was getting agitated. The car has no motor running at this time. What will they do with this? He will have to start from the back of the grid. They did not hold Frentzen back. That's strange. Maybe Frentzen will go to the back of the grid, but why have they not? Normally they hold, mind you, there's no space really for the cars to go around, so they probably briefed Frentzen to go to the back of the grid, and so will Montoya. So number one man and number four man on the grid, men will have to start from the very back, and it is, as you say, Murray, on a curve. You can't even see the start lights from some of those grid positions way back there. There then is Montoya right at the back of the grid.
Here we go, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and it is go! Ralf Schumacher leads. Barrichello coming up into third position behind Michael Schumacher, and they turn in, and Fisichella is well up in the Benetton. He's in fourth position as they drop down to Eau Rouge. He's got ahead of Jacques Villeneuve in the BAR, and David Coulthard from ninth position on the grid has got ahead of somebody because he's tucked up right behind Mika Häkkinen. Here they come up to Le Coumbe for the first time, and Michael Schumacher is right behind Ralph, and he's going to try and take him. Can he get through? Fabulous start by Michael Schumacher, who takes the lead on lap 1 of 43. He's going to take a lot of stopping now. Barrichello third, Fisichella fourth, then the two McLarens fifth and sixth. They have made progress.
Michael definitely got in the sweet spot behind that Williams and found a great toe. You have to assume he's on lower fuel. That really was an easy pass, a lot more speed. We know that they've had to knock some revs out of that BMW engine for the race. As I spoke about earlier, but I'm surprised at just how much under pressure Ralf Schumacher is, and we'll have to see. Maybe it takes a time once again on the cold days. It's just 17 degrees out there on the track for those Michelins to come up to full operating temperature, but Williams under pressure from Ferrari. The starter of the day was Giancarlo Fisichella up to 4th. Hakkinen is now 5th, Villeneuve 6th, Coulthard 7th. They've all made 2 places, of course, with the demise of Montoya and Frentzen, and Montoya is already up to 20th place.
Now this is the interesting bit. Fisichella in 4th position. That Benetton is really showing signs of coming good here in Belgium. It's got a completely new aerodynamic pack, engine changes for the Renault, and Fisichella, if he can hold on to this 4th position ahead of the McLarens, will be doing a cracking job, and everybody is really getting the hammer down now. Schumacher leads his brother by 2 seconds.
And look at Jenson Button up into 9th place. He's just been passed on that last lap, actually, by one of the Saubers, but Button from 15th up to 8th towards the end of the first lap, and then just losing a place in the bus stop, and that is an alternative view of the fabulous Eau Rouge corner. And there then is Button. He is still in 9th behind Raikkonen.
Yeah, and it's an indication again of the fact that Benetton are getting things together, as past the arrows. That's Jos Verstappen being passed by Montoya. Montoya, who started last, and Jos Verstappen started 19th. So Montoya has already made up a couple of places as he comes up towards the Jordan behind him, and Michael Schumacher leads. Ralf Schumacher in the Williams still 2nd. Barrichello, who was pressing him, seems to have dropped back a bit in 3rd position. Then it's Fisichella, Hakkinen, Coulthard. Villeneuve has lost a place. Kimi Raikkonen has lost a place. Jenson Button, as Martin's just told you, has gained 6 places. A storming first lap. And look, he is gaining now, is Jenson Button on Kimi Raikkonen, who is in 8th position.
Expecting all of the key players to 2-stop. I've got a bit of a question mark about the Williams, but 2-stop apparently, I'm hearing from various teams, is the optimum. But as I said, so many of these teams do not have as much data, and somebody's had a big one
there. I can't see who it is. Pile of tyres, and it's
a Jaguar and a Prost, so we think it's Bertie and Eddie Irvine.
Yeah, it is Irvine.
And that Prost is a long way into those tyres. Where is
Here it is. There is Bertie in the yellow helmet. This is a replay, of course, and they touch as Eddie Irvine goes past. Bertie loses it, goes over the grass into the gravel trap in the Prost.
That is a nasty accident, Murray. I'm not looking forward to this thing connecting, because that is on the way into Blanchimont. That is 190 miles an hour. Ooh. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have to red flag this race. That is not a good, there's no good accidents. That is a bad incident there for Luciano Berti. That is top speed, spearing straight into the tyre barriers.
With 4 full laps completed, there is the new grid.
It's a bizarre thing going on at the front of the grid. Ralf Schumacher is still up on jacks. The mechanics had to get off in that 15-second period, otherwise he'll get a stop and go. But he'll start from the back of the grid. He's still on the jacks. They've got the synchronization of the procedure wrong, and there is Ralf, absolutely, I've never seen this before, stranded on his own jacks as they were preparing to put the car back down on the ground. They had to clear the grid. They got caught out by the 15-second rule.
He's got a clear run. He's on the right of your picture, on the left of the grid, therefore. So here we go again for 36 laps, and it's go again. Schumacher leads, Barrichello up behind him, and Fisichella making a storming start. Incredible start. Up into 2nd position ahead of Barrichello in the Benetton, and Montoya runs wide and is taken by about half a dozen cars.
I think Button had a stonking start again as well. We've got a damaged Sauber, now we've got a damaged Jaguar as well, with a clumsy mistake by Della Rosa. But I think we've got 2 Benettons well up front, both McLarens slow away, and Michael Schumacher then an easy lead. Who's next? It is Fisichella. Look at Button up in 4th place, under attack from Coulthard. Coulthard takes away Button's place. Magnificent start again from those 2 Benettons.
Schumacher, Fisichella Barrichello in third position, the two Ferraris first and third. Behind them is the McLaren of David Coulthard, it looks like to me. Check on that. As Michael Schumacher streaks away in the... But look at this, Benettons in second and fifth places. Then the two McLarens of Hakkinen and David Coulthard, and that is Barrichello.
It's Coulthard and Hakkinen and Montoya
out.
Will he ever win a Grand Prix? He was absolutely sensational yesterday in qualifying for yet another pole position. He just cannot get to the end of a Grand Prix.
These modern engines, so highly stressed and overheated, are very, very sensitive and delicate. And of course, they've started and then started again and then started again. They've been sitting on the line, cooling down, then heating up again. And I suspect that's what's happened to the BMW engine in Montoya's Williams.
Well, they've got an Achilles heel there as well, haven't they, on reliability? That's why they sit out the warm-ups, Murray, and keep the revs and engine mileage down as much as they can. They're clearly exposed in that area at the moment, and there's a graphic demonstration as Montoya falls out of the race. A Jaguar in the pits, that'll be Della Rosa. He clipped the front of the slowing Heidfeld at the restart. He didn't need to, he had plenty of space to get around him. So Della Rosa then in the pits. We haven't seen him leave yet, and still Barrichello can't find a way past, and looks like he's out of the race.
And that says a heck of a lot for Fisichella, and even more for Benetton and Mike Gascoigne, the Benetton technical director, and all the rest of his people who've done such a sterling job, because Fisichella is staying ahead of Rubens Barrichello in second position. Fisichella on sheer merit. He's not making it difficult for Barrichello to get past by weaving, and Barrichello having a real good look now. A terrific scrap for second, third, fourth, fifth. Benetton, Ferrari, McLaren. Michael Schumacher is out on his own in this Belgian Grand Prix, which he has already won 5 times. He lost his win in 1994 in the Benetton. Here is a replay of the start.
And you look at the two Benettons, like they're in a different gear to everybody else. And there's going to be a bit of a calamity, I think, towards the back. I think the Jaguar of Della Rosa is going to get in the middle of a 4-way fight there. Montoya got caught up in it as well. And that is why we saw so many of them dropping back. Heidfeld's car's already damaged, and I think Della Rosa will now clip Heidfeld out of view now as he passes him later on.
The old belt and braces policy, which I've operated in the past, is not working now. We rely on modern technology in the commentary box to tell us what is happening in the race. All the cars have electronic senders on them, as a result of which positions and gaps and all that sort of thing are relayed onto a television screen in front of us, which enables us to keep you in touch, and that is now completely missing. All I can tell you is that Schumacher leads, that Barrichello is having a real good look at Fisichella, corner by corner, lap by lap, to try and make it Ferrari 1-2, that the two McLarens are not actually making up any ground at all on Rubens Barrichello in front of them. And this is a circuit where you can pass. It's not like Hungary, where you can't get past anywhere. There are passing places, but you've got to be right up behind them.
Well, we saw enough passes already in the first part of this afternoon's events, didn't we? But I think the timing monitors have gone away. We're on board with Frentzen, who would have started again towards the back of the field. I think they've taken the timing monitors away at the moment, Murray. They were showing the wrong number of laps remaining in this race. They'll have to square that up after the red flag situation. I'm expecting he'll be back again with us soon. We've no idea where Frentzen is. It looks like he's having a sort of test.
He's all out on his own.
Having a test day out there, isn't he?
Sunday afternoon run at Spa-Francorchamps, and those brown marks on the circuit, incidentally, are from the plank underneath the cars. They all have a composition plank underneath, and if it is rubbed too much and reduces the ride height of the car too much, they can be excluded. And it was for that very reason that Michael Schumacher was excluded and lost his race win in 1994 in the Benetton. So there's the good news. We've now done 4 laps of this 36-lap race, which was originally going to be 44 laps. And the leader, we don't need telling that, was Michael Schumacher. 32 laps still to go. That's a long, long way. And there's not so many cars left in this race. with Heinz-Harald Frentzen trying desperately to regain the situation that he had earlier on when he was to start fourth on the grid. But as you see, there's an enormous track gap between him and whoever it is in front of him.
So just to recap, the first race was stopped after an enormous accident with Luciano Berti in the Prost. And we see the arrows of Bernoldi there defending heavily against the BAR, I suspect, of Panis, with Ralf Schumacher now coming up behind them. We have the timing screens back. That is a scrap for
sixth position. Now here we are, we're on lap 9 out of 36, and Michael Schumacher, as our screens go blank again, is undoubtedly in there. I don't know why we're not seeing Schumacher. It's good to concentrate on this battle for second position, and there are now 15 cars left out of the ones that started the second time. Schumacher has got a 10-second lead over the battle we keep seeing and that we're looking at now. Fisichella second, Barrichello third, Coulthard fourth, Hakkinen in fifth position. Jarno Trulli has worked his way up from originally way down on the grid in the Jordan, the Italian. He started 16th and he's now in 6th position. He's gained 10 places. His teammate John Alesi in the second Jordan is 7th, and Jenson Button in the second Benetton with his teammate Fisichella second is now 8th. And the rest of the 10 are Jacques Villeneuve and Verstappen.
Yeah, Ralf Schumacher, the reason the screens were now going, he's 12th, he wasn't 6th, where they were showing him, Murray. So Ralf Schumacher squabbling around with Panis at the back of the field, and Verstappen. But I don't know what Button's problem is, but he's certainly falling back. But Trulli's on the move. Trulli's actually catching the two McLarens at the moment. That's why you can see the yellow Jordan in the background, and Alesi a little bit further behind too. So Fisichella holding his own though, Murray.
Yeah, and if Michael Schumacher can stay there, and goodness, if there's one thing that the Ferrari tends to be, as well as the quickest car, is the most reliable. And we see now Olivier Panis battling with Jos Verstappen. Verstappen in the arrows is 10th. Behind him in the BAR, the white car, is Olivier Panis, and Jacques Villeneuve is down there as well. In fact, Jacques Villeneuve is ahead of Verstappen. Villeneuve is 9th, Verstappen is 10th. No, Verstappen's got ahead. So Verstappen is now in 9th position as Jacques Villeneuve there dives through and takes Button, and 8th position in the process.
Yeah, it was Panis, the BAR we were looking at before. Just to finish my report on Luciano Berti, we heard from Eddie Irvine, who was involved in the incident, that he appeared to be conscious. We have no further news. We'll let you know as soon as we get some. Your leader then, Michael Schumacher, 12.2 seconds ahead last time around. He's lapping still 1.5 to 2 seconds faster than any other man on the racetrack. A 49.9 that time around. 1 minute 49.9, and he's just romping away, isn't he? Yeah,
1 minute 49.9, and the previous lap record was that of Jacques Villeneuve in 1:52.6. So that was in 1997 in the Williams. So Schumacher's nearly 3 seconds faster than the previous lap record.
Jarno Trulli is in the pits, just going past our window here, and this was Villeneuve shaping up to take Jenson Button into the long left-hander of Pouhon, as it's called. And unusual to see Formula One cars overtaking into there, and there then is Jarno Trulli's Jordan. So whether he picked up a puncture or what, we don't know. But Trulli, unless he was 3-stopping this afternoon, highly unlikely, I would have thought. I do not believe that was a scheduled stop.
Well, with 14 cars out of the 18 that started still running, let's try to bring you up to date with what happened to the people who have already left the race. Dick Heidfeld stopped very earlier on. You've seen Pedro de la Rosa, who has retired. Montoya has stopped with that blown engine from the look of it. He was in 16th place. He's now 5 laps down as the rest of them pull away. The top 15, 3 retirements therefore. The top 15 are still all on the same lap. Tasso Marquez is last, and Ralf Schumacher has worked his way up to 12th position. He's lapping in about 1 minute 54.5, but then so are all the cars ahead of him up to 8th position. So he's got a real battle on his hands. We're looking at him now as he closes up on Olivier Panis. You are looking at the battle now between Verstappen, Panis and Ralf Schumacher, who was on jacks and is now carving his way through the field. He's in 12th place.
Yeah, he can't get through, can he? He can't get anywhere. But with Panis and Verstappen sort of at it as well, he really can't make the impression you would expect. And that's Hakkinen in for stop. Now remember, as I say remember, I need to tell you that they were not allowed to refuel during the red flag procedure. If they did, they would have to have started from the back. So this is why you're seeing stops earlier in this race. Remember, race 1, null and void, but they were not allowed to refuel while they were sitting on the grid. So this is effectively the first stops. I think were not allowed to refuel during the red flag procedure. If they did, they would have to have started from the back. So this is why you're seeing stops earlier in this race. Remember, race 1, null and void, but they were not allowed to refuel while they were sitting on the grid. So this is effectively the first stops. I think maybe Truly's was a scheduled one then. This is the first stops had we been on the full Grand Prix distance. Hope that makes sense.
And that is lap 8 out of 36. And you can see the Jordan has been in, and out he goes. And meantime, Rubens Barrichello, as they now come pouring into the pits and out again. That's Olivier Panis, who was with Verstappen. And it's going to take a little time for this race to settle down. Of course, all the teams will have had to dramatically revise their strategies. As you can see, Fisichella is still staying ahead of Barrichello, and it's lovely to be able to talk about a different car, a different team up front. Benetton, that did so well with Michael Schumacher in 94 and 95, are now doing jolly well in this race with Fisichella in 2nd place and Button 8th.
So we were just picking up a while back there, Ralf Schumacher attacking Verstappen. He has now passed him. Panis, of course, has pitted for his first stop of the afternoon, and Ralf Schumacher then up into what will currently be 9th place. In your 50 years of commentating, Murray, this will go down as one of the more bizarre races.
It's a bit special. Now let's tell you who's been in. Hakkinen has been in. Lacey was in the yellow Jordan that we saw leaving, so he has changed his Bridgestone tyres. Jarno Trulli has been in, so has Olivier Panis, and Pedro de la Rosa, of course, has not only been in but retired as the battle continued. Look at that. Fisichella now 18 seconds rounded up to Michael Schumacher ahead of him, still in the lead on lap 9 out of 36. And you can see that it's pretty close for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, with just about 2 seconds covering Fisichella down to Coulthard. In the 5th position, Jacques Villeneuve, who started, and here's Ralf Schumacher replay, taking Jos Verstappen's arrows and moving up a place, and Ralf is now in 7th position.
Well, having said, I very rarely see cars overtake like that. Villeneuve pulled that move 2 laps ago. Ralf Schumacher's now pulled exactly the same move. They seem to be losing speed out of the left-hander at the top of the hill, and being easy meat on the way into the long left of P1. But Fisichella, look, really putting a bit of fresh air between himself and the Ferrari now.
Well, David Coulthard says he's not so interested in 2nd or 3rd or 4th in the World Championship. He's interested in winning races. Of course he is, they all are. But he's not doing himself too into the pits. Comes the Ferrari, and James Allen is there to receive it. Barrichello.
Thank you, Murray. Very curious situation, of course, because the whole race has been messed up. Normally speaking, 2-stopper, they would have come in around about lap 17. If you add together all the parade laps they've had, plus the racing laps, it's more or less about 17. There should be 50 kilos of fuel going in, around about 8 seconds. But what the people who really benefited here are the people who started out the race with a 1-stop fuel load, because they'll get into the window shortly where they can fuel the thing once and keep going, and they will really have benefited. We'll find out who they are shortly.
Thanks for that, James. A good bit of strategy reading. We need all the help we can get. And here is Jacques Villeneuve in from 6th position. He was just 2.5 seconds ahead of Hakkinen, who has stopped, so therefore Hakkinen should have moved up. We'll wait and see on the track. Yeah, with a 20-second lead, so I don't think he's certainly not going to get back in the lead. Fisichella and Coulthard, and maybe even Barrichello will go through before Michael Schumacher rejoins, but he will have been the first of the top three to make his pit stop. Now let's see what the situation is. Here is Michael Schumacher coming down the pit lane as the McLaren comes in.
To save your heart, Murray, I mean, he was 20 seconds ahead, and Barrichello's already stopped, as has Häkkinen. Coulthard stopping on the same lap. Fisichella did not stop that time around, so it's Fisichella that takes the lead of the Grand Prix. And there's Barrichello without a wing. I think he's probably been across the grass at the bus stop. That is why he's falling back, and that's 4 1/3 miles he's got to go before he can drop into the pits for a 15-second nose change. So Barrichello having a disastrous afternoon. Good news for Coulthard, second in the World Championship. Barrichello struggling, and Ralf Schumacher back in 10th place. So he will have such a terrible understeer. He'll lose a good 10 to 15 seconds.
Look for the yellow Jordan in the background, because that's Jarno Trulli. He's in 6th position. He's bound to get past Rubens Barrichello without the downforce on the Ferrari. There is the new nose and wing waiting to go on. But meantime, Barrichello is having to feel his way round the circuit with massively reduced downforce and therefore grip on the steering wheels at the front. Jarno Trulli is gaining on him hand over fist. He was 6 seconds behind him. Jarno Trulli is going to take 5th position and 2 World Championship points, and his teammate Jean Alesi, who is currently 7th. There is Trulli. Trulli has caught Rubens Barrichello, who's still running 5th, and through goes Trulli up into 5th place, 2 World Championship points. Now, where is Jean Alesi? There he is. Jean Alesi is going to move up into the points. Jordan really need this, because they are down in 6th position in the World Championship. And there is Alesi.
Barrichello can't stop, of course, can't slow down. He's got no downforce on his front tyres. It's all at the back of the car, no grip at all. So that's why he's struggling under braking everywhere. And Alesi getting a good run off at him through Stavolo. And Rubens will have to be very careful in Blanchimont, otherwise he'll just drive straight off the road, and he knows it only too well. Luckily, the front wing will already have been preset for whatever they started this race with in terms of setup. He goes straight on into the pit lane. Barrichello then falling back. That was already Villeneuve about to take him. James Allen is there.
Tremendously dramatic afternoon here at Spa once again, as Rubens comes in without a front nose. I can tell you there's been other drama as well. Michael Schumacher, how many times has he been lucky run off the course? He did it on the last lap at Stavolo and just missed the barrier. Apparently Ferrari believe there is no damage to Michael's car. Clearly there is to Rubens's car, as the new nose goes on and fuel goes in as well, and Rubens is back out in the race.
James, I must take it. Jenson Button out of the race. You can see he's gone into the wall in the Benetton and has removed his left front wheel. He was in 10th position. He's out of the race. And here is a replay of what is happening, or what happened, as Ralf Schumacher in the Williams in the background waits to go through, and the wing comes off before Schumacher went through, so it was not a coming together. Jenson Button must have dislodged the wing as he went over the rumble strip. And we're on lap 25 with Michael Schumacher, who we have seen hardly anything of in this race, because he is it's a demonstration race as far as he's concerned. And as I say that, we see him on the screen just to establish that the brilliant 4 times a world champion German is on his way to his 52nd Grand Prix, as in comes David Coulthard. Now, when he rejoins, where is Fisichella going to be? But now, James, over to you.
It's going to be very marginal indeed. Coulthard needed a good in-lap. He's only been 1 lap since Fisichella made his stop. This has got to be pretty crisp as well for McLaren. 7 seconds they're looking for in a perfect world. Try and nip it slightly slow off the fuel hose, but he should do it, Murray.
Fisichella was 8.4, Coulthard 7.2. Look, there is Fisichella, and he passes the pit lane exit before, just marginally before David Coulthard. They are in exactly the same positions as they were before the pit stop, and that will be heartbreaking for David Coulthard, who tried so hard when Fisichella had gone into the pits to go faster and be able to get ahead. He has failed. And a very slick stop from Ferrari, 7.7 seconds, which is 0.7 of a second faster than the quick one we have just seen. And Michael Schumacher tours out of the pits. He's still going to be in the lead. He has not lost it. And this is his 26th lap, 10 laps coming up at the end of this one. for the conclusion of the Belgian Grand Prix, with the positions for second and third still unchanged, and David Coulthard having a real go now. Of course, he's on fresh tyres and Fisichella isn't, and this could make all the difference.
David having a bit of a fake look down the inside there. Now let's see if Fisichella's still got a traction advantage. Of course, he's always going to be, he has indeed, hasn't he? But he's always going to be on the throttle one car length earlier. But the Benetton Renault definitely clawing its way out of the slow corners in a very effective manner. Not dissimilar to the way they both left the start line on both the starts this afternoon. But this is where Coulthard passed him in the first race, and he's not close enough this time around, but that's where it's going to happen if it happens. Yeah, and he had the extra straight line speed, and when you're up the inside, it's dirtier, it's bumpier, you know you have to brake early, and so does the guy trying to pass you around the outside. He's got the clean line and the confidence, and well, David put a lot of trust into Fisichella there, that he wouldn't just lock a wheel and slide straight into the side of him too, but I think Fisichella's an old enough hand now that you would put your safety of your chassis in his hands.
This is lap 33. We've still therefore got laps 34, and bang, out goes the Jordan of Jarno Trulli. That means to say that Alesi is back in the points again, and Rubens Barrichello moves up another place. Another heartbreaking end of race situation for Eddie Jordan's team.
Yeah, poor old Eddie Jordan, poor the Jordan team. They don't deserve that, they really don't. They've just had Alesi moved out of a point scoring position just as Trulli blows up. They were on for 3 points, and all of a sudden they're on, well, of course Alesi moves back a point, back into sixth now with the demise of his teammate.
Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari is coming up to win his 8th race of the season, and his most ever is 9 with Nigel Mansell, and he does it. Michael Schumacher wins and becomes the most successful Grand Prix driver of all time, as David Coulthard slides the McLaren through the bus stop to finish in second place.
Michael Schumacher, clearly the driver of the day. He kept his head through all of that, waltzed carelessly off into the distance. Very, very strong drive from Coulthard as well. A well-deserved 6 points and a well-deserved podium place for this man, Fisichella. He's finishing 17 seconds down on Coulthard on the end, faded towards the end. But Häkkinen with a moderately lackluster for him, especially afternoon, down in 4th place, 36 seconds off the lead. But Michael Schumacher was just swanning around at the end. He gave 6 seconds away in the last lap alone, did Michael Schumacher.
Yeah, there's Barrichello finishing 5th, but who's going to be 6th? Is it going to be John Alesi? Is it going to be Ralf Schumacher? Let's go back down the track and find out. And there is the answer. It's going to be John Alesi. John Alesi in his 2nd race for Jordan retrieves something for the team with a quite superlative fighting drive to 6th position and a single World Championship point.